everyone, and welcome back to the most magical podcast on the internet. I am so excited, to wish you happy December. I cannot believe we're in the month of December for 2021. 2022 is almost here. There is more magic coming, and we are excited to give you all of that information. But right now, we are going to end out some of season 3 with a very special guest that we have for you all today. I'm going to move us on over so we can get talking. Here we go.
What is up, Why We Disney fam? Welcome back to the Why We Disney podcast. My name is Kaycee, and as always, I'm joined with my crazy talented co-host, Kara.
Nice.
And today, I'm so excited to introduce our very special guest. And I just want to say, she's probably one of the coolest people I've ever met. She wears a ton of hats for the Disney community, and I can't wait to have her just completely explode on us about everything she does for the Disney community. We are obsessed with her. Kristen Carr, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Hi, ladies. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I cannot express how much I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Seriously, we're so grateful. So thank you.
You're welcome. You caught me on a good day.
Good. Well, the first thing we always do, right, I want to figure out where, for our listeners, where they can find you on Instagram. So if you can just tag yourself on Instagram real fast.
So I am at the Happiest Club on Earth on Instagram.
Awesome. And you also have a podcast too. So tell the people where they can find your podcast.
I do. Our podcast is the Mousetalgia podcast. It's Mousetalgia Fast Pass. So Mousetalgia is like nostalgia, but Mousetalgia. And that's because we actually were born out of the 13-year running, hugely successful Disneyland history podcast, Mousetalgia. So wow. We are their news portion, and we're weekly. And so we call ourselves the Fast Pass. So we kind of give you a fast pass to the latest and greatest in Disneyland Resort news.
I stinking love it. Oh my gosh. So, and I will just say really quick, so Kara and I are local to Disney World. So any chance we get to talk about Disneyland, we always get super giddy and excited about it. Do we not, Kara?
Absolutely.
I love Disney World. So I love listening to you guys because I'm obsessed with Disney World. I went there so much as a kid, and actually during the pandemic, I went there 3 times, ironically enough. I was missing Disneyland so much, so I headed your way. No, I totally agree. That's awesome. So we always ask every single one of our guests this, and it's the heart of the Why We Disney podcast, right? We talk about why we Disney, why we love it, and why we're so passionate about it. So I want you to kind of tell our listeners, why do you Disney? Why are you so passionate about it? Why does it make you get up in the morning? You know what? I get this question a lot. It's funny. I wish there was a clear answer for me, but I don't know anything else. So that's really just that's the most honest answer. I don't know anything else. I grew up as a baby going there with my mother. Then I became the school trip friend that knew everything at Disney. And I became the little tour guide in my group of friends. And then I danced in the parades for a little bit through dance. I was on a dance team and we did that. So I was always involved. We always lived 20, 30 minutes away. So it was always really convenient. And we always had as soon as they had passes, we had passes. And then when I had children, it was just second nature. Of course I was going to take them all the time. I think we joke around that my first son was it's going to sound really irresponsible, but a week old or something when I took him. And then my second son, I think he was it's much worse. I think 5 days. It was really, really young. And I would just take them in a little carrier and walk them around. And then I became really acquainted with the baby centers. And then I had my twins, and unfortunately I had to wait a little longer, 4 whole weeks or something, because they were preemies. But yeah, I don't know anything else. And for me, one thing I didn't really realize about it until the pandemic hit was how much of Disney is really part of my mental and emotional sort of therapy. It really is. I know that it doesn't sound normal to a lot of people probably, but for me, it really is. I go there a lot at night after the kids are asleep, and I just don't even ride rides sometimes. I literally just go and kind of decompress and walk around a little bit and soak up the magic. I honestly don't know anything else. So I don't really know what it is. It's that like Disney magic, you know, it's just that something that you can't really put your finger on. But I can tell you I was super depressed when I didn't have it for a long time. So it
Right.
just is a huge part of my life.
Absolutely. Yeah. We all kind of went into a state of depression when Disney closed. Holy crap. So
Yeah,
you must live like super close, right?
I
How
do.
far away are you from the park?
Like 30 minutes door to front gate. Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't. People that say that, like, it rattles my mind every day, guys. I don't think you understand. Every day I wake up and go on the Southwest app looking for
Oh,
cheap flights. Like, I try, and that's why I don't go as often as I would like, just because I have to deal with the whole flight issue. But oh my goodness, the jealousy when people are like, I just wake up and go to Disney. What?
How?
yeah. For about 2 years of my life, I lived in the Bay Area. And it was sort of torturous. Like it was hard, like living that far away. And I think, I mean, funny enough, in 1 year, I think we made like 15 trips down back south. So I was like, every trip down to visit, I was like, so who wants to go to Disneyland tomorrow? So who wants to go? How about on Sunday we could go? And it'd be like, you know, you're here for 2 days. Like, I don't care. Who wants to go for 4 hours? Like, I mean, it was hard not to have it.
No, but I appreciate the people that are locals and that can go, because that's how I get through the day, watching them in the parks, like literally like watching these Instagrammers talk about their stuff. And I'm just like, I wish I was there.
It's so
But
funny.
thank
So
you.
many people say that. Like so many people say that on my stories. About a year ago, I was thinking like these stories must be so obnoxious. Like I'm doing the same thing every day. Like I'm walking on Main Street. I'm like buying a snack. Like no one wants to hear this.
No, please do.
Excuse me.
Do
But
it for me.
it's so funny. I had so many people that were messaging me like, thank you so much for posting about, you know, getting the pretzel yesterday. It made me so happy. I was at work. And I'm like, oh my God, it would make me so depressed if I was at work watching people at Disney. But it must make people happy. So it makes me happy.
No, and I mean that's just so much of a bar about why people Disney, right? It's all about this community and being there and being able to just decompress and let our emotions go and just be happy and be in the moment. And you experience it in so many different ways, right? You're talking about their solo trips, but you're also talking about taking your 1 week old, taking your 5 week old. And I think that's something Case and I really wanted to talk about here, is being a Disneyland mama. Kind of taking your kids. We'd love for you to tell us about your family. So how many kids do you have? How
I
old
have
are they? Tell us
4.
everything. Okay.
I have 4. That's a lot. I have 4 and they all are Disney little like mini fanatics. And I sometimes wonder like how they're going to actually enter real life because they go there so often. So I keep thinking like I may be doing them a disservice because I'm not really sure how they're going to do like adult life because they go here all the time. I have 4. So just to like preface this, because so many people ask me how I do this as a Disney mom. I am just one of those people. I'm like a yes person. So there's very rarely a time that I say no to things. There's very rarely a time I've taken a job I was totally not qualified for and didn't just say yes, like, oh, I'll figure it out. Like, I'm just that person. I think being a Disney mom is very different depending on how you are as a person, right? So for me, I'm just like we'll figure it out type of person. I'm very organized. I'm usually overly prepared. So I'm usually the person with the backpack that like has like 50 things that I probably won't touch 45 of them, but like they're there just in case, it's a Tuesday at 5 and we're in Toontown and it starts raining. Like I have like those things. They're unnecessary. Like I carry this giant backpack. I mean, my husband, my mother are both like, do you really need all the things in that backpack? Well, I might not need it today, but like that one time, you're going to be really happy I have it. Like, but I think that being a mom and like handling the kids in the park is really about attitude. Like it's not about how prepared you are. Like things either work out or they don't. And I know that it's very different from our point of view, because you were saying like, I'm so close, right? I'm so local. It's so easy for me to get in and out of the parks that there's some days that like we go and like nobody's in a good mood, and you show up and maybe you walk around a little bit and it's like this day sucks. Like we're done. So we're going to cash in this day and we're going to come back a different day. Those days happen. And I'm just kind of okay with that. And it is what it is. Not everybody can have the most magical day on earth every day that they go to Disney. But then there's days that, we make everything work and everyone seems to be a little bit more patient, and we kind of like wait in the lines when there's big crowds, and it's fine. But going to Disney World and having that other side of it, right? Having the other side of it where like, I'm not here every day. Like I have 4 days to do these parks and like to experience this. I can see how that would be really difficult as a parent or like a Disney mom going on a trip where that these are your designated days to get those things done. But again, I think it kind of comes down to attitude. Like I tell people all the time when they ask me about doing the parks with kids, like have each kid pick one thing that they really want to do. And that's it. Like, even if you're spending the whole day there, like have everyone have like one bucket list item. And no matter what, everyone supports each other in that bucket list item. So even if it's like, I want to go on Radiator Springs Racers and that's all I care about, like that line sucks some days. Like that line is like 2 hours some days. But if that is someone's bucket list, I would say like everyone has to dedicate to do that for that person, and then the next person's thing is the next person's thing. Because that's feasible, right? Like doing one thing for every person is totally feasible. And then if you set that goal and you've done it, then everything else is a bonus, right? So I feel like realistic goals, like setting expectations that aren't going to totally disappoint you, are a huge, huge part of being a Disney mom for me. We do simple things. Like the kids are like, oh, today we just want to try the new cookie. Cool, done. Like that's easy.
Great.
Like, like simple things. And not getting caught up in like the merch sometimes. And I know that's hard too. I mean, especially for my kids, because they're there so much and there's new merch like every day. I mean, and my one son is like obsessed with Wishables. You guys, if I never saw another Wishables package, I mean, I'm fine. Like there's so many Wishables in my house. And the thing is, they're so cute and exciting, like for the first 20 minutes. And then they're just like, literally, there's nowhere for him to sleep on his bed. Like, I don't know where these Wishables are going. So it's hard, right? Like to not get caught up in like all the merch and everything. But as a Disney mom, like I find so much joy, and it's such a separate phase of my life compared to like I'm turning 40. So this was all my life has been like my Disney memories, like the things I remember and the places I remember going and rides that opened that I was there for on opening day. Now I associate so many things with my kids. Like Galaxy's Edge opening was like my kids experienced that, and they got to go. And knowing that that was like the first real year that my kids, my boys, got into Star Wars. Like that was the year they got into Star Wars because they were like, what's coming? Like, what is this land? Like, can we watch these movies? And so we built up to Galaxy's Edge opening by watching all the movies and reading all the stories. And so that whole land is sort of like wrapped up in that for me. So like those memories have become like these new milestones that, you kind of don't know are there until you're a mom and you're like, wow, like this really is a whole new Disney for me now. As a mom, like I'm experiencing all these things all over again in such a different way. So, and I have 3 boys, and then my baby is a girl. And I was not a girly girl growing up. I liked certain things, but my daughter is like 110% Disney princess. Like that's how.
Wow.
So somehow I got that. And sometimes I don't know what to do with that, but like we go to the parks and it's like such a different experience because I've had 3 boys experiencing the parks, right? So like Pluto, Goofy, Mickey, those are our guys. And Star Wars Land, but now my daughter, it's like the princess, Tiana's her favorite. And, we got to go on the riverboat and I want to see this. And when she sees Ray, she freaks out. So it's just funny. It's a whole new experience. So I absolutely love it. It's like the best part of going to Disney for me is my kids.
I absolutely love everything that you're saying. And I really think that our listeners that are parents of any kind are really going to get a lot of tips and tricks from what you've just said, from packing over and picking one thing for your kids and letting that be that. Honestly, if you guys need more tips and tricks, make sure to follow her on Instagram. And you've kind of answered all my questions. And this one's a little off script, but I think we need to start talking about it, if you don't mind, on the side of parenting. I'm sure a lot of parents are starting to think about the new Magic Band Plus that's officially coming to Disneyland in 2022. And how do you feel as a parent that I don't have kids, right? So I'm like, my kids are going to have a smart band on their watch. Like, it's going to get wet. What are you going to do? What are some things that you're thinking about there?
It's funny. I never thought I'd see the day that we'd actually get Magic Bands. I was always so jealous of you guys in Disney World.
Right.
Magic Bands. And all we ever heard, I know a lot of people that work in Imagineering in the parks, and all we ever heard was that we just simply don't have the infrastructure at Disneyland to do that. So don't get your hopes up. It's probably never going to happen. And then to hear that we're finally getting it, I'm like, wow, this is so incredible. I'm excited because I know how convenient and how nice it is to have those Magic Bands. My kids are not typical. I don't let them play video games. We don't have video game consoles at home. We don't. None of my oldest just turned 8, so I don't feel like he's old enough for a cell phone. They don't really have any of those things, so I don't know that they're going to really realize what it is. Even I think they're just going to think it's a cool wristband to wear. But I'm excited for them to get it. I think that they'll have fun doing it, and it will be fun to get them ones that sort of match their personalities. But yeah, right now, they always try to grab my phone when it's time to go and check in, into the gate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't grab my phone. I'll check you in. So I know for them, they'll be happy that they can check themselves in, they can hold their little Magic Band up. But I think it's just part of moving forward, right? This is just kind of where we are and what things are doing now and progression. So I think it's normal. I think it'll feel really cool when we have it. I think that's going to be fun for them.
There's just so much in store for 2022 in Disneyland and for just the whole Disney community.
And we're getting a whole new Toontown.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
That's crazy.
I can't believe it. Guys, there's just so much to discuss, and we are going to take a short ad break so we can get into a little bit more about what you do, Kristen, for the Disney community right after this.
All right, guys, welcome back. So we are transitioning into a brand new segment. And Kristen, I'm so excited to talk about your podcast. Now, if it's one thing that if we know anything, it's that podcasts are not this fun little, you hit record and then it posts the next day and it's all this great and fun and joy. It's a lot of work. While it is a lot of joy, it is a lot of work. So I want to talk about your podcast. So first of all, where can they listen to your podcast? I know, do you just do Apple and Spotify, or do you do YouTube as well? Where can they find it?
We're everywhere you can find podcasts, basically.
Good.
And it's just Nostalgia Fast Pass, and we're everywhere there. And then just on social media, we're on Instagram, just at Nostalgia Fast Pass. YouTube. So my brother and Sam, my co-hosts, are begging to do YouTube. I'm just not a YouTube girl, but if they want me to do it, I'll do it. I don't want any part of any of the work behind it because I already do all the editing and everything for the podcast. So that just sounds like more work for me, but we're not quite on YouTube yet.
That's really funny. So I'm glad that you mentioned your co-host. So who exactly do you work with on your podcast? And if you want to give them a shout out, I'm sure they would appreciate it.
So my co-hosts are my little brother, Josh May, and he is at My Disney Perspective. And then my other co-host is a friend of mine who feels like a brother. We kind of have that rapport together, I feel like, on the show. And his name is Sam Carter. He's actually an artist, an independent artist, and you can find him in Wonderground. And he does a lot of things actually for the parks. And he is Carter Sauce on Twitter, on Instagram, kind of anywhere you can find him there. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your podcast. What do you guys talk about? What message are you getting out to the community?
So we try to make it a fast pass to the most like latest and greatest in the Disneyland resort news. So very specific to Disneyland. We do mention some things and little shout outs to Disney World, usually towards the end of the episode. And that's really just because Sam is connected to Disney World, obviously with some of his art. And we love Disney World. So we kind of give a shout out to that. And we know that a lot of people here go there. So there's probably some updates that they'd want to hear every once in a while. We talk a lot about going to the parks really frequently because we are a weekly news podcast and we do probably end up in the parks 3-4 times a week. So we try to report on like the newest food, the newest merch, the newest stuff you find, changes that are happening, like we just had a flooding incident at Small World. So that was a big conversation on the podcast last week. We try to go to special ticketed events. So we really try to just like report on anything that happened the last week and try to give our like immediate review or at least like a recap on anything that happened that week. So that if someone is coming, the next week or maybe that weekend or something, they could reference that.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure people are thinking like, wow, every week there's something new. And we're like, every single day there is something new.
Yeah,
for sure.
We record on Thursdays. So, newsflash, podcasts don't just make themselves immediately available.
No.
We record late Thursday nights. So we all have children. So Sam has 3 kids. My brother has 2. I have 4. So there's a lot of kids to maneuver between the 3 of us. But we all do like post bedtime recordings. So we record late on Thursdays. And then our podcast goes live on Fridays. And there's still stuff that we will be like, oh man, like we missed that. But like Disney's, usually there's a lot of announcements up until about Wednesday or Thursday. So you can usually post by Friday for news and you can probably be okay through the weekend. But there's still stuff, that gets posted and you're like, what? Like now that's not even in this week's episode.
And I feel like it's like as soon as you hit like stop recording, it's like they come out with something brand new right then.
Oh, it's so funny. And then we have like a group text, going back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
So Sam and my brother and myself, we're always going back and forth like, oh man, did you see this? Like, so it's kind of funny.
That's so cool. So when did you guys actually start your podcast? Because I think you guys have released like 25 episodes or something. Is it close to that?
Yeah, we're on 27. This is 27 this week. I think we've done it every week. So we haven't missed a week yet. I want to say we started in June. I think June. I know we started, so our first episode was the same week that Marvel Campus opened because our special guest for that episode was the Imagineer that helped work on the Marvel Campus and some of the secret stuff that was in there, some of the hidden Easter eggs. So I know that's when we started, was when Marvel Avengers Campus opened.
Yeah, that's really cool. Kara, did you have something? I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying it's cool. Like this is our 55th episode.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's just crazy, like talking to other podcasters and seeing how they do things. And I mean, you guys you record late Thursday and then you bring it out on Friday, which to me is like such a crazy turnaround time. So I just like hearing and collaborating with other, podcasters and especially Disney news people, because there's so many things to be keeping up with and to like try to figure out. I feel like I missed something in 5 minutes and my whole phone is blowing up. I'm like, what do you mean there's no more annual passes? Like,
oh yeah,
what in the world?
I mean, we do too, definitely. I mean, I think it helps that there's 3 of us, right? Mm-hmm. And we probably all 3 of us see something different all the time. So Sam will talk about stuff that we totally missed, and my brother will find things that we totally missed. And my secret is I don't sleep. I'm just not a sleeper. I never was. I just function on really, really little sleep. So we record late Thursday and I stay up like late, like into the wee hours of the morning, kind of editing, and then I go to sleep. So I guess if I needed sleep, it would not be so great, but I don't need so much. So it works out. But yeah, it's a quick turnaround for sure. I mean, and it's not the greatest editing job. Like, look, I taught myself how to do editing on GarageBand when we decided to do this podcast. So I would love to pay someone to do that. But I just thought, well, if I could figure it out, I could do it. So until it really annoys me, I think I'll just keep doing it.
That's really good. Yeah. Kara, don't we know it? Good Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Well, listen, so I was listening to an episode of your podcast today, actually, and you guys, and I think I went back maybe a few episodes, I'm not sure, but you guys were actually recording from the parks, and you can like hear like the music and stuff in the background, and that's so fun. Do you guys often record in the parks, or is it always on Thursday nights at the house, like you said?
No, so that was a Thursday night, but we just did it in the parks.
In the park.
On Thursday. Yeah, we all have magic keys, so we all have annual passes. So we try to meet up in the parks. Like my brother and I, it's really easy. Sam, we try to get him to come and do it too with us. So that one that you caught, we probably were all there together just because we were like, and then sometimes we go to like the Disneyland Hotel and record if we want to. I mean, for the most part, we try to mix it up a little bit, but I love live stuff. Like I love hearing like the sounds of Disneyland.com got me through the pandemic. Like I had that going all the time. And it was like the ambiance of like, you know, the Tropical Hideaway or like the ambiance of Adventureland or Pirates or whatever. Like I feel like when you hear those sights and sounds and you hear the people, like I feel like that makes it even more immersive, right? Like you feel like you could be there right now. So I always wanted that to be an element of our podcast. It was a big thing that we talked about when we were planning for it, was like, I really want episodes that we record live from Disneyland. Like I want those opportunities. And the guys were totally on board with that. Like they go there all the time anyway. So they were like, sure, whatever.
Yeah. Oh my God. I just think that's so cool. And the Why We Disney podcast, Kara and I have been releasing episodes for just a little over a year now, and it's a ton of work. So best of luck to you guys. We totally support you in everything that you do. You guys are already like rocking it, but you're just going to keep going. And our podcast supports yours. And I hope that we're able to uplift yours as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really excited for Kara to transition us into this next segment, though, because it's going to be my favorite part for sure.
No, we save the best for last. I mean, everyone in the Disney community has something special to bring, right? And we noticed that you literally create magical events for people. So like, I'm all about the exclusive and the hot on topics. And so is this like a Club 33 thing? Is this like a DVC thing? You've got to tell us what's going on here.
So I'm just a party planner in general. I think that was part of my makeup just as a child, because I always loved to throw parties. I was always doing like themed things. Like my mom would say, like, what kind of birthday party do you want? And then I would say the theme, and then I'd like go all out. Like, well, no, all those things have to be blue because this is the theme. Like I'd get all into it. So that's sort of carried over. And then I started events right out of college. I was working a lot in the nonprofit sector. So I was doing a lot of things, you know, for Make-A-Wish Foundation. And then I started working publicity for the studios here locally in Los Angeles. And so I was doing a lot of gifting suites and things that are really heavily themed. And then I kind of realized that like, I think my life, like my Disney life has sort of crossed over into my party planning and like event creation, because I don't really know any other place that's so heavily branded and themed when it comes to things as Disney, right? Like what is more perfectly branded and like themed than Disney? You go to a certain land, there's only certain things in that land. You go to a certain area, there's only certain things there. So I think that sort of carried over for me into events. And then obviously becoming a mom, like I'm the mom that throws the parties that are sort of on crack. Like I kind of go a little bit overboard. Like my kids turn 3 and I'm like, we're having a Jungle Cruise party, you know, like no 3-year-old cares about that. Like I do, but they don't, like, but I go all out. So it's super fun for me. Like it doesn't feel like work. It feels like fun. And then I started doing some of these before the pandemic for friends and just community members here. And I was doing little get-togethers here and there, and nothing really like big or fancy. And then when the pandemic happened, we kind of had to shift gears. Like how are we going to do this? Like we can't do events. Like people aren't getting together. How is this going to be different? So I started something called Magic Mail. And I basically I had all these event connections, right, with brands that were giving me products, which was so amazing. I had made all these brand partnerships over the years. And I sort of went to a couple of them and I said, you know, everybody needs a little like something right now. Like we don't have the parks. Everybody needs a little bit of like happiness or magic. Would you be interested in sending me some products so that I could send them out to people if they sign up on a list or something? Like I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it. And right when the pandemic hit, I had already started a magic mail list, and it was more so to get people to come to events. But then when the pandemic hit, I turned it into like this random gifting thing. So I would just get products from these brands I had partnered with, and then I would make up little like magic mail boxes, and I would try to send out a couple here and there, like because this was all from my own pocket. So I was trying to like, maybe send 5 tomorrow and then a couple more next week or something. And these brand partners were so amazing. Like they just kept sending me things. It was like Sun Stashes and Thomas Kincaid and Love Pop cards and Expedition Roasters, like people that had Disney connections or Disney licenses, and Loungefly, they were sending me some things, and they were little things, but they were meaningful. And at the time during the pandemic, everyone needed a little something. So it was nice to be able to put like little envelopes together with just a couple things in them and a little note, right? Like, I hope you feel some magic from this. And then as that list grew, and it did grow because you're offering free magic mail, and things started to pick back up again, right? Like we started to be able to go into the parks, and even if it wasn't attractions, we were able to go back into parks and have snacks. We had like Taste of Disney, and we had some things going on. And then here locally, like some of the movie theaters were opening back up. So I thought, like, I was so eager to get back to events. I know not everyone was comfortable at first, but I was, and I was 100% ready. So I thought, I'm going to throw some things out and see if people want to join. Like maybe there are a lot of people like me that are desperate to kind of do that in a safe way, right? There was a lot of safety precautions. Right. So I started partnering with a couple movie theaters. And I think the very first one I did was Cruella. So I partnered with a brand new Regal Cinema, and I did Cruella. So it was the first week that movie theaters were back open, and I partnered with Regal Cinemas for a brand new theater location that unfortunately opened like the week before the pandemic hit. So they had not even really had a chance to like have this theater be open.
Oh,
and
no.
I went to them and I partnered with them, and they were so amazing because at the time you could only have like, I think 25% capacity in the theaters when we first reopened. So that equaled like 30 people. There wasn't very many. So I put this whole event together, and I put a link up, and it was gone in like 2 minutes. Like it was completely full. So I was like, okay, cool. Like there's 30 people that want to see a movie, right? So we went to Cruella. I had giveaways. Like I had a Cruella Loungefly bag. Like I had some cool stuff for a giveaway, and all these people posted from this event. Like they were so I mean, I was kind of like feeling duped. Like, are they saying this like over the top, like to be nice? Like, what are they doing? Like, but they were like just as anxious as I was to get back to life, like to get back to like events and doing things and seeing each other and having community. We had to have masks on the entire time we were in the theater, but like everyone was just so happy to be with like their fan community, right? And like, I don't know if you guys are huge fans of that Cruella movie, but I was like nerding out on that Cruella movie. Like that Cruella movie was so solid. Like the music, the fashion, like it was incredible. So everyone that left that event said like, oh my God, tell us the next thing you do, because we're going. So then I was like, well, I guess I should probably figure something out. So I started just sort of like, okay, what else could we do? Right. So then I went to like a couple of the restaurants that were in downtown Disney, like, let's just find a theme and like build something. So it happened really fast. And like through the summer, I just started doing those things. Eventually I got to a theater that had a partnership with Marvel and Disney already through a couple of events they had done like a long, long time ago. And they saw some of my event postings from my Instagram from these events, and they were able to connect us. So then I was able to work directly with like Marvel and Disney Studios in order to get early screenings for people in my, like what everyone started calling the club. I guess it makes sense, for the happiest club on earth. And it's not like a club, like you don't have to do anything to enter. You don't need like a membership. I don't know. Like it's just, you're part of it, I guess. If you're here, you're part of it. So we got early screeners. So we ended up getting like, things that were a couple days early. Like we got to see Jungle Cruise early in 4DX. And then we got to see Black Widow early, in ScreenX. I mean, so it's snowballed, but it's been so much fun. Like I can't get enough of it. Like I usually have 2 events pending, and I'm like planning a third always. So it's sort of always in rotation. So like last night I did one at Ballast Point Brewery, and we took over the patio at the brewery and did this huge Neverland Pirates themed event. And then tomorrow I have an early screener for Encanto. So it's super fun. Like, I love it. And I honestly, I think the best part is like seeing everyone have so much fun. Like I like geek out watching everyone's stories, and I'm like, I was there. I don't know why I'm acting like this is so crazy, but I love watching everyone's stories because they're so happy, and it just makes me super happy to do it. So I don't see that stopping anytime soon.
Oh my gosh. Kristen, that is the coolest thing. Like, and I was watching your stories last night and I was like, holy crap. Like, this is amazing.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
It is like literally hashtag Disney community.
It is.
It truly is. And I love that because people think that, again, Disney is just like all about Mickey Mouse, but it's not. It's about the movies. It's about the parks. It's about the community members. It's about reaching out to local small shops, reaching out to local like businesses. And I just love that you're getting that connection with one another. And I will tell you that I will volunteer as tribute if you need any help. No, literally, like that is what I want to do with my career. I've always wanted to be a hostess, do giveaways, plan events. I mean, that's why I love the podcast. I just love getting to know people and bringing people together and like through commonalities and learning about each other. So
yeah,
look me up.
You are welcome at an event anytime you're this way.
That's what I'm gonna say, Kristen. Who comes to these events? Like, are they invite only, or do you put out a link and it's like the first 100 people get in, or like how does that work?
Well, so at first I was posting them on Instagram, and I was doing like event links on Instagram, and people were signing up, obviously. And then I was getting, I mean, because I feel like when you're public on social media, people are very vocal about their opinions and how you should handle things better. I'm not one to really take advice from other people sometimes, but I can hear criticism, and I can hear it when it's, you know, valued and warranted. So there was a couple of times I had people say, you know, it's not fair. You put it on your stories, and if I happen to not see your stories that day, like I basically can't go. And so I heard that and I thought, okay, that makes sense. And it was a couple people that had already been to events in the past. So they felt like, you know, in a way, they felt that they had already shown some sort of loyalty, right? To like paying for a ticket to come to an event. Sure. So I understood that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to change it up a little bit. So now past attendees get an email link for a pre-sale first. So if you come to an event already, you would get an email for, like, let's say in Encanto, I sent out a pre-sale link, and you would get it probably like the night before. And then I would put it on sale on my stories the next day, like at 9 a.m. or something. But what's been happening lately is I send the pre-sale and it sells out from the pre-sale. And then I get people on Instagram that are like, you know, there was nothing left when I went to Trick. So I don't know. You can't win them all, but I am trying to look at ways to expand things. I mean, I'm used to doing theaters that seat about 150 or so, and we can bump that up to like 300, but it's a lot of coordination. I mean, I love it, but it's a lot. And it's a lot to ask because I have partners for food. So like Porto's Bakery gives everyone individual boxes with food for every single one of my events. And that's a lot of work for them, you know, and they're a local company that's been around forever, but they're a family run food company. And they're amazing for partnering with us. And I know that they get a lot of great business out of it because I have so many people that tell me, you know, like, we went to Porto's because like we tried it at your event and now we love it, which is incredible. But I also appreciate that they're a small business and that's a lot of work for them. And the same with like these brands that partner with me, you know, they're incredible. And I'm so grateful that I get to partner with them. Like Love Pop is so generous and they send me the most beautiful, like, pop-up paper cards of, you know, Disney license for whatever is appropriate for my event. They're so awesome about that, you know, and then countless other small shops. But when the numbers go up, it gets harder to get so many things. And it's asking a lot of those people too. So I think for now, I'm going to kind of keep it the way it is, but, you know, hopefully see ways that maybe we can expand later. But yeah, I mean, I love doing it and you guys are always welcome. You just tell me when you're going to be here and you're welcome.
Oh my God. I'm coming to an event. Kara, you coming with me?
Absolutely.
Do it.
Absolutely.
So Kristen, I want to know, what is your favorite event that you've ever put on?
Ooh.
because there's so many I'm sure that you could go through, but what is one that you were like, I had a freaking blast. I loved this.
Wow. I actually, like, before my Disney days, I did a circus event. I did like a themed event for the AIDS Corporation or AIDS Project. And it was a circus theme, but it was a circus theme like Mardi Gras, like, South American circus theme. It was just one of those events where you left and you were like, that was really good. Like when you left and you were like, that was so fun. Like we had entertainers and we had music and that was really fun. But for my Disney events, I think probably my Jungle Cruise event, for the advanced screening for Jungle Cruise, because that was just such a fun-loving movie. I mean, people were laughing through that whole thing. And what brings people together more than like laughter, right? I mean, there was nothing controversial about that movie. Like nobody walked out having like strong opinions about that movie. The part I think I loved the most was everyone bounded. Like I didn't say to bound at all, but everyone showed up in Disney bounds for that Jungle Cruise event. Like there were skippers everywhere. It was incredible. And that was in 4DX. So that was in a theater where all the chairs moved and there was wind and water and everything. So if you can imagine Jungle Cruise with that, it was so good. It was perfectly paired. And then we had an after party with Simply Wild Party was my partner for that. And she built these incredible balloon garlands, like all up and down the ceiling of the theater, like where we were for our after party. So it totally felt like you were immersed in like a jungle because she did all these crazy balloon things. It was so fun like that. I mean, I think of that fondly because everyone was just buzzing after that movie because they were just laughing and having a good time. And yeah, I think Jungle Cruise probably so far.
Wow. Oh, I love it. I don't want to stop talking, but Kristen, gosh, I just want to thank you so much for coming on with us again. I know you're so busy and you got two events probably on your books right now, planning and working on that. So I just want to thank you again, just for all of your love and support for the community. And you're really doing so much and we support you and you're rocking it. And we're going to come to an event like tomorrow.
Well, thank you for having me. You guys are so sweet. And I love watching you guys. It's so fun to do this.
Absolutely. I just love sitting and talking Disney with some girls. I think it's so great.
Right?
Remind everyone where they can follow you on Instagram.
At the Happiest Club on Earth.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristen. And Kara, you want to round us out?
I mean, thank you, Kristen, so much for supporting us and just coming on and being a part of our Why We Disney podcast journey. It's just amazing to learn about so many people and what everyone does. And I mean, this is how we create the magic within each other. So I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you guys for doing what you do. And all of us do this because we love Disney, right? That's why we do it. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, thank you so much for joining us on another Why We Disney Wednesday. I want to give a shout out to this week's Apple Podcast review. If you want to be featured next week, make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so we know that you're enjoying the magic. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, not Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, literally everything in between. And if you did not know, stories out, we have a Patreon where you can get exclusive information, inside stuff. Just, I don't know, join the family because everyone wants to be a part of the magic too. Kaycee's here, Kristen's here, Kara's out. Have an amazing day. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.